demons, aliens, fallen angels, and giants. What relevance do those things have to us today? They're very strange sounding words and topics, and many people talk about them from different points of view. Well, let's take a look at in the Bible, because Yahshua, the Messiah, says they are relevant to us. He says in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 36, speaking about the end times, the end days, because the disciples and the apostles, just like us, were very curious about those times, and they wanted to know when he was going to, they finally realized he was going to die and leave, and then they realized he was going to come back. They thought it was going to happen in their lifetimes, and so they asked for some clues, and so he talked about that sometimes with them, and he said in Matthew 24:36, "But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah," here he gives a hint. He does give a lot of hints, because we need to know. "But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark." Okay, so there's a great clue, because it says that the end time days, the last days, will be like the days of Noah. So we need to study, we need to go back into Genesis and find out what the days of Noah were like. There's only a few chapters that talk about the life of Noah and what happened with the flood, so it's easy to study. We're only going to look at a few verses though and focus in on one specific point. Now it says in Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1, "Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose." Okay, now there's a key point there, because it says the sons of God, which are the fallen angels, and the daughters of men, that's human women. Now, I believe that if you're going to teach something out of the Bible or prove something out of the Bible, you need to use the Bible to prove it. Otherwise, you need to clarify that it's just speculation. And sometimes people speculate, that's okay. A lot of people do, that's all right. Sometimes I do. But we need to say, this is speculation, this is just coming from me. This is what a lot of people say, or something like that, and you draw your own conclusions. But it's another thing when it's actually written in the Bible. So there is speculation, but it's actually taught just the opposite. What I'm going to teach you now, they say, is speculation, and I'm going to go to the Scriptures. We're going to read the Scriptures, and you can decide for yourself. And what most people, or a lot of people, teach about this, and have been teaching for 1,000 years on these verses, is that the sons of men were actually the sons of Cain. Nowhere in the Bible does it say this. It just says it in articles. It says it in different books that men have written, but it is not biblically founded. It's just their theory, but it's a theory that has been taught so long that many people believe it. And they say the sons of God are the sons of God are actually, this is what they say, are the descendants of Seth, and the daughters of men are the descendants of Cain. There's no biblical, there's no foundation. There's nothing to sustain those ideas. So, but look, we're going to look at Scriptures, and they're going to talk about this specifically in the New and the Old Testament. Okay, so let's keep reading here in Genesis 6. It says in verse 3, "And Yahweh said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. And then it says in verse 4, there were giants on the earth in those days. The actual word for giants in Hebrew is Nephilim, which Nephilim comes from the root word nephal, which means the fallen ones. There were Nephilim on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons, so in those days before the flood and after the flood also, it says, and afterward, when the sons of God, again talking about the fallen angels, when the sons of Yahweh came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. It makes it sound like they were great men, but actually these giants that were born, we know about giants because you've heard of David and Goliath, and that was way after the flood that happened. Goliath was a giant. He was sometimes, they say he was like over 9 feet tall. He had 6 fingers on each hand and on 6 toes on each foot. He was deformed and he was bad. There are no good angels or good fallen angels or good giants in the Bible. So these aren't fallen angels. These are the offspring of fallen angels having mated with human women. Okay, so now let's see about that term, sons of God. It says in Job, chapter 1 and verse 6, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also came among them. So here you have Satan and some fallen angels coming to Yahweh to criticize Job. If you don't know the story of Job, you should read Job. But they came to say, hey, this guy Job, you shouldn't be protecting him. They were because it says that Satan is the accuser of the brethren. So he came to accuse Job. And then it says a similar thing in Job chapter 2 and verse 1. So you can look that up on your own. I'm not going to read it. It says basically the same thing. Then in Job 38 and verse 4, it says, Yahweh is speaking now, and he says, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? So he's talking about before the creation of Adam. He's establishing the time here. It's just before that, the creation of the earth. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? Verse 6. To what were its foundations fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone? Verse 7. When the morning stars, now this is talking about the fallen angels. When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Okay, so there's again, it's establishing that the term sons of God is talking about angels, because they certainly no humans were alive when the foundations of the earth were laid. Adam was the first man who was created after that. In Genesis 11 and verse 5, it says, but Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. Okay, so now here it uses the term sons of men, because they were human beings who built the tower. This is talking about the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11:5. And they were men, they were human beings. To contrast it with sons of God or sons of Yahweh, and here it says sons of men. Then it says in Matthew 22 and 30, for in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of Yahweh in heaven. So a lot of people use this to say, see, angels can't have babies, angels can't reproduce. But that's not what it says. It says they don't marry. And angels in heaven don't possess people either. You never hear of an angel possessing somebody. But fallen angels and demons, they do possess people. So just because angels in heaven don't do something, that doesn't mean that a fallen angel can't do it. And the question, if a spirit being can impregnate a human, well, the answer is, of course, yes. We have the one example that we know when it was good, when Yahweh did it. He, through the Holy Spirit, impregnated Mary for the miraculous birth of Yahshua. And he was Yahweh, he was Elohim in the flesh. So the angels are always trying to counterfeit and destroy Yahweh's plan.